Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy JGM Wrestling back out here with another wrestling reaction video. And in today's video, we gonna be watching WrestleLamia's 12 unwritten rules in WWE. Now, it is sports entertainment, and there's some rules that you shouldn't honestly break. Back in the day specifically, you shouldn't really be talking about personal issues in the business. You should just focus on reading the script. Well, things kind of changed now, and they were creeping out a little bit back in the days. But lately, social media is a thing. So let's just get to it. Shout out to Wrestlelamia for making the dope video. Guys, go subscribe to them. And if you haven't done so already, click that like button for this video and subscribe to your boy too on the road to 2K. Yes, sir.
Hey, no, they broke the rule. The unwritten rule. You can't just come out whenever you want. What are you, a psycho? Kevin.
12 unwritten.
Honestly, not gonna lie, I kind of missed them two being champions.
WWE rules. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Number 1. Never headbutt a Samoan. Now, whenever a wrestler with Samoan heritage is wrestling, it's common knowledge that they are virtually immune to headbutts. This has been seen time and time again in major matches, and although the rule is slowly fizzling out, some wrestlers decide to stick with the unwritten rule. Notably, in late 2024, Drew McIntyre delivered a Glasgow kiss on Jey Uso, and although the main event Jey took the bump for the move, McIntyre reacted as if he'd been knocked out as well. Now, sometimes it's not just headbutts that Samoans are immune to. Sometimes it could even be D'Lo Brown's leg drop, as seen with Rikishi. And if you think WWE's female Samoan talent are excluded, well, Paige found that out with Tamina. Number 2, never hit Rikishi's backside. Rikishi's biggest weapon during his WWE run wasn't actually his head, but his backside. Rikishi was prone to using his backside for various moves, most infamously the stink face, and he used it as a defense mechanism from time to time. One time during a match with John Cena, the future face of WWE attempted to deliver a punch right to Rikishi's rear end, and Cena acted as if it was made of steel. Cena then proceeded to act like he had just had his hand broken. This was a genius spot, and Cena sold it incredibly well despite it being utterly ridiculous. Number 3, the Spanish announce table goes first. Now, whenever an announce table is set to break in WWE, it's common practice that the Spanish or the international announce table is always first to break. It's like a magnet, as
Did y'all notice too that the announce table right now is actually undefeated? The new announce table that they did, like, it's more sturdier, and bro, I want to see who's gonna be the first one to break it. Low key, I think they're giving it to Jacob Fatu.
WWE Spanish play-by-play commentator Carlos Cabrera would describe the announce table in 2012, and this perfectly summed up how wrestlers view the table. The spot on the rule has become so well known that WWE announcers and wrestlers like to make passing jokes about it on WWE television. WWE have attempted to move away from this trope in recent years, but it's still extremely common for any international announce table to be completely destroyed before the main commentary table. Now, in relation to why this is, from a practical perspective, the main announce table is usually needed for links to other things on the show, and sometimes it makes more sense to keep the table intact. This is especially the case when WWE are producing a very long show, as keeping commentators like Michael Cole sitting with no table for hours on end could be a very tough task. And when WWE began to implement announce table spots into matches, they quickly realized that they were going to have to change how the table was positioned. When Diesel and Bret Hart used the Spanish announce table for a huge spot in the 1995 Survivor Series showdown, Carlos Cabrera would be trapped as the barrier was just too close to him, and he unfortunately hurt his knee. Luckily, WWE changed this, and they ensured that any international broadcasters were going to be kept safe. Coincidentally, this was also the first time the Spanish announce table was broken in WWE. Number 4, you set it up, you go through it. Now, have you ever noticed that if a wrestler sets up a table, then 9 times out of 10, they will go crashing through it? The reason for this is that the wrestler will want to take responsibility for the safety of the table, and if the table malfunctions, they can't blame their opponent, as they were the one that set it up. This has been an established rule in all major companies for decades, and it's a rule that makes a ton of sense, and it avoids any unneeded confrontations. The same rule is applied for spots involving chairs or other weapons, and the only time that any deviation occurs from this set rule is when fans are playing WWE 2K24. Number 5, WWE referees have 1 HP in every match. One of the most hilarious and common unwritten rules in wrestling is that if a referee takes a move, then they will be out of action for an extended period. It doesn't matter what the move is, the referee is going to sell the impact to the move as if he's just been annihilated in the ring. And the reason for this is that when a referee is taken out of action, it's so some type of illegal action can occur during the match, and the referee needs to be out of action for a significant amount of time. This was a rule that was heavily mocked during the Attitude Era, yet it's continued as the years have gone on, and fans have started to question if this is a rule that needs to be switched up. Criticism comes from the fact that a lot of referees, particularly those in WWE, are shredded and are actually in peak physical condition. Therefore, it just makes a lack of sense for them to be knocked out for such a long time. Interestingly, when a wrestler takes a role of a guest referee, they somehow seem to be knocked out rather easily, and they act as if they have never taken a wrestling move before. Perhaps the referee shirt is cursed. Number 6. Wrestlers have to watch TV at a 30-degree angle. Vince McMahon had a range of unusual rules during his WWE leadership, and one of them related to insisting that wrestlers would watch television backstage at a 30-degree angle. Now, this was clearly so the camera could see the wrestler's entire body, but even still, it made the wrestler look completely ridiculous. Who watches TV at a 30-degree angle? Now, this is not something that has just existed now. This goes all the way back to the New Generation era, as seen by Bret Hart, even into the Attitude Era, as seen by The Rock, but now it's definitely become more prevalent in this era. But one of the complaints for fans was that this greatly exposed that WWE was a TV show, as nobody was ever going to watch TV in this manner, and it was a rule that needed to die out. Former WWE talent Renee Young, who conducted interviews backstage in WWE for years, spoke about this rule during an interview with Sportskeeda, and Young quite rightly labeled the rule as weird and odd. Couldn't tell you, I have no idea, it's so weird. It's like when you're playing house, sort of, you're like pantomiming watching TV instead of watching it. It's odd, and I understand obviously when you're doing television and you're performing in some capacity, you've got to like open up to the camera more, so that everybody could see you and that they could see your reaction. It's more of that, I believe. It's more for the audience to see somebody kind of trying to watch the monitor, but they're not really able to see all that much. I don't know, I have no idea. Thankfully,
maybe it is to give it to like, give it like a little speculation, like I'm not interested, but I'm interested kind of thing.
Triple H has maybe loosened the rule on this, as he was probably sick of fans and companies such as AEW heavily mocking the bizarre trope. Number 7. Wearing jeans for a street fight makes you stronger. As some wrestlers, when competing in a street fight, decide to wear jeans. This was a rule that began in the 80s, and it certainly brings an element of grit and realism to what is supposed to be an incredibly serious matchup. The idea, on paper at least, is that a street fight is supposed to see a wrestler come as you are, meaning that you should be wearing clothes as if they were walking out on the street. Some iconic examples of wrestlers going for the jeans look for the match type include Shawn Michaels and Edge in 2005, and Chris Jericho and CM Punk in 2012. Still, wouldn't jeans make you more hindered in the ring or even outside of it? Wouldn't you rather wear your wrestling gear? Number 8. You can't powerbomb Billy Kidman. The former WWE and WCW star Billy Kidman is seemingly immune from the dastardly powerbomb. Whenever Kidman was in WCW, for virtually every match, Kidman would get out of the powerbomb and counter it in some way, shape or form. It was almost as if Kidman didn't like to take a huge bump that the powerbomb involved. This actually became a running joke online, so much so that compilations exist of Kidman escaping the powerbomb. Those few diehard Kidman fans saw this and decided to respond with their own compilation of Kidman actually taking the powerbomb bump, which certainly added great hilarity to the lore of this unwritten rule. Number 9. Never drink a beer with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, if Stone Cold Steve Austin offers a wrestler a beer, they should turn it down immediately. This gesture from Austin is 99% of the time going to lead to a wrestler taking a Stone Cold Stunner, and despite this happening hundreds of times over the past few decades, wrestlers just don't seem to catch on to the fact that this is an unwritten rule within the lore of WWE. Now, we said 99% of the time, as there are certain names that have escaped this fate, however. This is usually babyfaces. Most notably, Becky Lynch on Raw in 2020 escaped without being hit with a stunner. This was likely due to WWE's policy on intergender wrestling. The same didn't apply for Stacy Keibler or Linda McMahon though. Number 10. Never climb a ladder quickly. The ladder matches have become so formulaic in modern wrestling, as every single ladder match features the wrestler refusing to just rush up the ladder and take what's above the ring. If a wrestler makes any attempt to speedrun the ladder climb, then they will usually stop halfway through, or they will only rush up to meet their opponent at the top for the planned spot. It's practically an unwritten rule in ladder matches that you can only win if you climb as slowly as a sloth. Now, it's worth noting that ladder matches, particularly those with numerous wrestlers, are extremely hard to produce, and if every wrestler was booked to rush up the ladder, then it would be hard to execute key spots, and could even lead to a surge of botches and injuries. Number 11. Referees are legally deaf. And why is it that referees such as those in WWE have very limited hearing? Whenever the referee is distracted, they somehow lose their hearing altogether and are unable to hear things such as chair shots. Referees are often labeled as the most incompetent individuals within a match, and it's easy to see why, as companies such as WWE just make them utterly incompetent. Now, there must be a smarter way to execute these spots, as it's become a trope that has become tired, and deviating away from this unwritten rule and giving referees some credence would definitely be a positive step forward for modern wrestling.
Yeah, that one
And number
was dope, I ain't
12,
gonna lie.
for music hits, stop exactly what you're doing. And if a wrestler's theme song suddenly begins to play in the middle of a wrestling match, then whoever's in the ring will stop what they're doing and concentrate on the Titantron like they've just been hypnotized. The worst example of this being Mustafa Ali at the Money in the Bank briefcase match as Brock Lesnar's music hit, and Ali couldn't just unhook the briefcase. Instead, he stayed there for what seemed like an eternity. And this is a rule that makes zero sense, and it's almost as if the wrestler in the ring loses all focus and can't continue the match until they see the wrestler surface from the backstage area. This trope sometimes ends with nobody even coming out, and this has become a staple of matches in WWE, so much so that fans have urged them to abandon this spot completely. One of the ways that WWE have switched things up is by having a wrestler's theme play, then for a wrestler to interfere from behind. Whilst this is a much smarter way to handle the spot, the wrestler who's distracted still looks like a total fool. It makes him look like they've never watched a wrestling match before. But there you have it, folks. 12 unwritten WWE
being in front of them too. Hey, yo, this one was actually a pretty cool video, man. Man, there's unwritten rules that we just follow, bro. We just know it. We just go with it, and that's it. That's all we can do with it. If you haven't done so already, go subscribe to them, Wrestlelamia, making a dope video. Go like their video, and also go like this video, bro. And also, by the way, power bomb that subscribe button for your boy on the road to 2K. See you in the next video. Yes, sir. Peace.